I think we're on. Hello, welcome. Welcome to our respective houses tonight. We are Naomi and Nicholas from Dandelion Wine, and we have some special guests with us this evening to talk to you about this wonderful film clip.
Naomi and Nicholas from Dandelion Wine, and we have some special guests with us.
And we've got
You might need to turn the delay down.
delay going on. Wait a moment for that one to stop. Oh, that's funny. Technology. We're so wonderful with it. But what's it saying? Oh yes, we did this wonderful film clip for our song called Too Late She Cried, and we have with us tonight some people who helped us make it, or pretty much they made it. We just kind of did what we were told, didn't we, Nicholas? Just kind of rocked up where we were supposed to, stood where we were supposed to, so on and so forth. Francesca, who also rocked up when she was supposed to, and so forth, should be with us shortly. But in the meantime, we're just going to post the link for anybody who wants to jump on in the Facebook event.
So I probably have concentration face on while I'm going.
And we'll get started. I would like to introduce everybody, but I kind of want to see their faces, but I can't yet, but I will in just a moment. Oh, what the hey. I'll introduce everybody. So with us this evening, we have the director of the Too Late She Cried film clip, Miss Naomi Edwards. Welcome, Naomi. How are you this evening?
I'm very well. Lovely to see you all.
And we also have with us the director of photography, Mr. Simon Green. Good evening and welcome. Thanks for sharing your time with us this evening.
Thank you.
And we also have with us Anita Apostolidis, who was our wonderful art director. Thank you for joining us tonight, Anita. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
Apparently, I have epic concentration face. So right.
Oh, so good. You've all worked out you can comment and we'll be able to read it. Excellent. So I would like to start by just going back to the very beginning. It's funny, we were just talking about how it was that we managed to work out this whole, I'm going to say yard stream. Is it stream yard? I say it backwards every time. I'm such a mum. Business. And it's about this time last year when we were in lockdown and I'd finished making the Pilgrimage music video. And we did a little interview with Nick Wilson in the same sort of manner. And it just occurred to me the other day, we could do that again because we're in lockdown again. So here we are. But we weren't in lockdown at the beginning of 2020, and we were speaking to Simon and Naomi about doing a film clip. Simon, would you like to start us off by just recapping what it was that we came to you with as an idea and how that transformed into something a little bit more complicated? Do you remember?
Yes, I do. I remember the initial idea was quite simple. It was a person, I think it was Gilbert eating an apple, which is your dude's son. But Naomi was involved very early on, and we thought it could be a bit bigger.
Naomi, what were your first thoughts when we brought that simple idea? I think, to clarify, we came to these guys with like the idea for a one-shot film clip, and I remember thinking
simple, no editing, really simple and easy.
And we were looking at doing it maybe in a laneway or something because that was what we sort of had available to us, around that sort of lockdown time. But Naomi, we came to you with the idea, and how did it transform for you from that point?
I think it was because when I was chatting to you both, there was an idea that the simplicity meant that it was going to be straightforward to do, and that there was something about just trying to, and I think because of all the restrictions and the way that life was then, of just trying to figure out of how to get something done. And it's just like, hang on, there's bigger, we can dream a bit bigger than that and see what can come of that and respond to the material more directly. So I think it was just that space between just wanting to do a little bit more with it. And I think personally it was, we all knew each other in another lifetime. And so
we should say that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we all
Naomi-
went to uni together at
Yeah.
Wasden Deakin University and trained when we were drama babies and media babies, and had did theatre together, and that's where Nicholas and Naomi and I met, and Simon was part of that. And so just as I think people that had known each other a million years ago had gone off and had a variety of different careers and pathways, and then to come back together, it seemed a shame to do a single shot video meeting an apple. There was more things to explore.
And then, of course, was like, well, if we're going to go that big, we probably need an art director.
Well, this is the thing. The minute we start having ideas, you need someone to execute them beautifully.
Yeah. So, Anita, do you want to tell us about how it was that you ended up on this project with us and your connection to this group of people?
Well, I knew Simon. So Simon often, I think for maybe 2 or 3 years, has been coming into the cafe that I work at. And just through conversation, he... Has it been that long? Let's scale it back a little bit. Yeah, we'd always spoken. I have a graphic design background, and I'd always mentioned to him how I'd wanted to explore getting into film, and I love prop making. And so during lockdown, he came in one day and said, "I have this job for you. I think it's perfect." And I was like, "Yes, of course, I'll jump on board." And that's how it sort of got rolling from that aspect. He just walked in one afternoon and said, "Do you want to do it?" And I'm like, "Yes." I'm like, "Yeah." So it was beautiful because I think it was I felt fortunate in that in lockdown a lot of creativity for me was stifled and was sort of poured. So it was nice to have that opportunity sort of come through, and then I got to connect with all of you guys through screen time in the beginning, but then it evolved to more physical meetings and stuff afterwards. So that's sort of, Simon was the pathway of me to meet all of you guys, and then that's how it began for me.
Yay. Well, you certainly added some good it's not really a special effect, I guess, but people have been asking about the blue apple, which is a thing that goes on for us, but everyone wants to know how you made that blue apple. Is it toffee? Is it glass?
Keep the secrets.
Oh no, keep the secrets. Oh.
The real blue apples from a very specific orchard.
They've indoctrinated her. She can't help but say keep the secrets.
It was all special effects. It was all special effects. No, the toffee one was actually you'd think that a toffee apple would be the best thing, but it actually didn't. It didn't look very good when I took photos of it and tried to film it. It just didn't accentuate that magic that you guys have in your other aspects of blue apple that you've had throughout, So
toffee apple is something you tried to make in the beginning, though, did you?
Yeah, I did a couple, and it just didn't work. Just did not work. And then I just had some blue cellophane and some paper mache, and I just did layer upon layer upon layer, and I coated it, and and it was interesting because there were some scenes where we had to have the raw actual apple being shot, so to try and mimic still the cellophane around that and make it look like it was grown with the blue skin was fun and challenging. But I think it shot really beautifully. The light really captured that shininess from the glue. I think that's what made it look really good. Just glue, PBA.
There you go. Sorry, we've taken all the magic out. You know how to make one. Have the same skills as Anita to be able to make it look that good, though. That's the thing.
No. Yes, no. Lots of sticky fingers. Sticky fingers. Yeah.
Well, I guess there's a couple of other sort of fancy things. The hyperlapse. Perhaps we can go back to you, Simon. That was you brought that to the table as an idea. How had you come across this as a concept? And I don't know if you want to keep the secrets or share with us how it is that Nicholas flies through the beginning of the film clip.
Well, I think one of the really exciting things for me with this project is that whilst Naomi, our director, is an extremely extremely experienced theatre director. This is one of her first film shoots, and so as we were sitting down and discussing the process and the thematics of the ideas that were materializing, and the other great thing about working with Naomi is that she's got a creative process in engaging with the material, which a lot of film directors, I'm sorry to say, don't have to the same degree.
Yay!
So it was an absolute pleasure to be able to go through many ideas. And what was really fun when I was chatting with Naomi was that because we're talking about stuff sometimes from scratch, but not really from scratch, because Naomi understands story to an extraordinary level and ideas to extraordinary level. But talking about things technically is probably close to a starting process. It just opens up.
With pan and tilt.
But you got it in the end. You were all over it.
What it meant was that we were able to discuss ideas from the beginning, and so talking about techniques from the beginning, and one of them that came up was hyperlapse, in just talking about ideas. And Naomi goes, "Oh, I quite like that," and so and she goes, "I think it could work here in the story." So, and that's how it came about. But it's basically stop motion animation done with a live person and a moving camera.
Done with a prop.
and taking a lot on Nicholas's knees as he jumps.
So I had to jump about 150 times or something like that to do it.
Was it really that many?
Yeah, absolutely.
Were you counting?
No, I was certainly not counting. I was continually. I just had Van Halen jump in my head the whole time, which is not that uncommon for me. But so yeah, I had to. So I'm going to say jump, and I'd jump, go ahead and jump. Then take a step forward, jump, go ahead and jump, step, and it was that whole thing. On a concrete floor in a pair of boots. And I was like, this is fine. This will be fine. There's no problem. And the following day's shoot was the one at the studio. It had a lot of stairs going up to the dressing rooms, and that's when I went, oh my God. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Oh my God. Yeah. It's quite funny.
Well, that leads us nicely, Nicholas, into the fact that the scene where we're in, it's a church background, but in the large space is we actually filmed at an LED volume down in St Kilda at the Alex Theatre in the studio there.
Who's going to explain that one?
I guess, Simon, you were the connection there, but Naomi, how did that feel for you, being almost in, like, we came into a theatre in terms of when we entered, and I think you might have already had a connection with that particular space before, is that right?
Yeah.
But then to feel like, because you're used to directing theatre, but then you're directing film, but you're in a theatre space, how did that work for you?
It was really interesting because for those of you who don't know what the LED volume is, and help me out, Simon, if I get this wrong, but it's essentially a series of screens that can project any environment that is being created by the wizards that create the worlds. And so there's the wizards. I know.
Unreal Engine is the program they use, I believe.
Yeah, and so it was about using that as a way of achieving this grand environment of a cathedral in a way that was much more practical than, I guess, finding a church space to use, where it gave us a lot more control. And to be honest, it was like, if in the way that we used it, it was primarily an environment. It was primarily a backdrop. I think if you'd asked me to do what the LED volume is capable of doing, it would have fried my brain in terms of the relationship between space and the subject as a theatre person. because the camera is calibrated to move the environment and create perspective and create a believable world behind any camera moves. All our camera moves in that section were quite static, no panning or tilting. And so so I think it was more just getting, I think the thing for me in that shoot was learning how the camera tells story, and that's where Simon, hey Fran.
Hi, Fran. Welcome.
I actually didn't see that.
Was she knocking and we didn't let her in?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Were you waiting long there, Francesca?
No, not
Oh,
long.
excellent. So we should just sorry to interrupt there, but we will just quickly say this is our challenge, Francesca, who's just joined. Francesca's the only one who's not here who's not currently living in lockdown. What's the free world like?
You know, it's kind of normal, really.
It's kind of cold.
It's kind of cold. You know, I've got a 2-year-old, so we're not really getting out that much. If it makes you feel any better.
Yeah.
On a Saturday night, it can't be.
Sorry, we just interrupted Naomi's. Oh, look. Oh, now we're 5. Oh, yeah, that works. Naomi was just talking about being in the LED volumes.
Yes. So it was about the lesson for me there was about how to link shots and how to like that's where the sort of collaboration with Simon was really fantastic. Was like this is the imagery and the through line that we want to create. And him knowing which shots to get and how to the gluing images that we would need to do that. But then also like there was amazing surprises as we really did conceive of it quite specifically to the music and to the shape of the music and to the for the want of a better word, the orchestration, the musical structure. But then things like happen, like the probably the most compelling, I think, moment in the clip for me is your moment of crying, Naomi, and that came out of nowhere, and we would never have dreamed that in terms of the performance of it, we had a whole other concept for that scene, and so that was an example of something that happened a lot during the day, which was, you know, the sort of joy of exquisite planning and happy accidents and being open to what happens on the day and what the and so then the real craft comes in the editing process, because when you go, well, okay, I've got all that material, how do we put that together and how do we reimagine it? Now it's become something else beyond all of the lists and storyboards and concepts and conversations.
And I feel like you guys did a really good job on that, because I remember on the day that, you know, there was another idea we had that we're like, we've run out of time and we got something else, it'll be all right. And I was like, oh, are they sure? Like, oh, but didn't we really need that piece? But we didn't at all. And like, you wouldn't have fitted it in if you had have gone and stayed, you know, 3 extra hours to do that shot or whatever it would have taken. And like, yeah, and like you're totally right. Like that was the joy, but like the way you guys could put it all together with what you had and make such a like I feel like the narrative's really clear in it as well. Yeah. What else is on my list of questions? Let's go back to Anita, because there was the apple, but there was something else that we all ate, or that we didn't all eat, that Nicholas got to eat.
Lucky Nicholas, yes.
I mean, Fran got to drink the wine goblet.
Oh, I think I had the best job. Especially since I'm supposed to be packing to move into state.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So someone else stayed home and did that while you sat and drank wine.
Amazing.
Pretty much.
Good work if you can get it.
But Anita, we asked you to make something else other than the blue apple that was a bit tricky. Can you want to tell us about that?
Yes. So I think the concept came up pretty early of eating sand, and think it was from Naomi and Simon. I think they had discussed it, and then Naomi had sent through a link to how to make edible sand. So I yeah, that's a whole YouTube. You'll just go into a deep dive if you Google that. Like, there's so much stuff.
It is one of my rules is like, as a director, it's just like, if I'm going to ask an actor to do something, then I need to be clear that it's possible. I just love the image of Nicholas eating sand to sort of tie into the themes of being nourished and being and hungering for things, and just that eating sand would be the least fulfilling, nurturing kind of thing that one could eat. And so the minute I was just like, I can't just throw that to Anita. I need to know. I got to have for myself before we sort of pursue it.
So you'd been down the rabbit hole on YouTube looking for sand, like edible sand as well.
Well, it was surprisingly one Google. It didn't take very long.
Are you going to give us the secret, Anita, of what it was?
Well, it ended up. Oh, yeah, Nicholas from experience. It was, well, I got a certain flavored one, but it's just basically Cheerios, blitzed and pulsated to a fine crumb. And then I think, going back to what Naomi just said, putting the actor through it, I probably should have tried it to see that it wasn't easy to swallow, because the struggle with each mouthful that Nicholas had, I felt terrible. I didn't realize that it wasn't going to just clump up like that, because there was no absorption, or there was no liquid to help it sort of go down. So after each take, it was just, spit, full and then spit.
Strangely enough, it didn't taste bad. It tasted kind of like honey and sugar. It was like, oh, this is fine. But the moment it has contact with saliva, it just goes. And
you did have some assistance with that, though. I did recall someone giving you a little something to go into after each take.
Oh yeah, that was me on the side. I was there. I was supporting. I was supporting.
Like a serviette roadie.
You guys are the best that you would do that.
But it yeah, I think, well, it gave the effect of, the I guess struggle. It seemed like painful. It wasn't easy. It was not easy to swallow sand. But yeah, no, it was all Naomi. She sent me all the things and I just executed everything. So yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about the notebook, Anita, because that was such a beautiful.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah.
Actually, I found an amazing still of that. I wish I had it on hand to actually share it and put it up here, but it's on another drive somewhere. But amazing, yeah.
Yeah. That was, I guess, another happy accident. I just brought along a bunch of things that I thought maybe might suit the theme of the Last Supper and the table and the spread, and how we wanted to sort of portray what Naomi, the queen, would be doing in that instance, and what she'd have to be surrounded by once she bit into the apple, and some of her precious things. So we had a lot of little tokens spread out in front of her in the middle, and I had brought along some notebooks that I had. A lot of them sort of convey monsters and sort of that anxious feeling of something overwhelming, almost like a beast beating you, which I feel like sort of went along with the narrative, like too late she cried. The time is, it's coming to you and you can't fight it. So I think I brought along some diaries, and it sort of had that rough sort of beast maybe aspect that time can be sometimes. And yeah, I think Naomi just started flipping through it out of curiosity, and Simon and Naomi just started filming. So and she was also holding the some of the twigs that she was wearing as jewelry, and so that was kind of nice. Yeah. So yeah, that was just that wasn't scripted or planned, but it just sort of unfolded. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I missed the whole that happening, and I just assumed that was part of the plan. There you go, because they're so amazing. They're almost William Blake-ish or something. That kind of
yeah.
I really love William Blake. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's I was quite dumbfounded flipping through those. But on the should we talk more with Ms. Edwards here about the general sort of themes and imagery? Because I think one of the reasons why we came to you in the first place, aside from the fact that we know you and love you and you're awesome, is your vision is grand. You don't think in small and mundane things.
Actually,
you think in grand.
We got that comment on the radio interview we did on PBS the other day with Susie Lanigan. She's like, your images are always so theatrical. And I was like, oh, that's interesting you use the word theatrical, because that's kind of where we all started, you know. But yeah, maybe you talk about, go Noms, tell us what you think, how that works for you.
Yeah, I think that was the interesting experiment for me, being, as Simon said, the first sort of film project I've worked on. But I guess, I don't know, I think it's about, for me, it's just like images have to capture the things that we can't express, that we don't have words for, like, and or any artistic form, whether it be a novel or a song or a painting, is there to try and articulate something. And when in talking to you both and in listening to the music about what it was about, which was about the pressure of creativity and missed opportunities and the transformations that happen in the process and the complexity of creativity. And so suddenly you're already in an abstract realm when you're talking about those things. And so then you need to find images and ideas to hold that. And I guess that's where theatre comes in, because all of our theatre training is about that, is about finding distilled images, be it action, be it a prop, be it any of the way that symbol operates in theatre. And so it's interesting to try and figure out how that translates to film. But I think the scale of it was, I think, born out of the depth that I think you have written into in terms of the piece of music, what the song conjures. And so, yeah, from there it was, and then it was like ticking into your aesthetic already. Things like the blue apples, things like the costuming were all pinging off your aesthetic, like it, and the aesthetic of Dandelion Wine and things that have come before. So it ties into your overall look. And I think you both, everything that you guys do has large images, it has large. So it was sort of being born off that, and then figuring out how they exist in the notion of a video clip. And I spent a lot of time watching video clips and trying to figure out how they work.
Yeah, we sent a lot of videos back and forth between us, didn't we, at the start?
And I was curious, I still don't know. I've talked to a lot of people. I still don't know, and maybe people who are watching can comment about this, but I just, how people watch music videos. Like, is it, is it something that pops up on Facebook? It's a vehicle to sell the song or whatever. But as an artistic form, like I come from the generation of when Richard Wilkins would announce Madonna's new clip at like 7 o'clock on a Saturday night or whenever it was, and we'd all gather on the television to watch Like a Prayer, and suddenly it was this whole like these like mini films to accompany a song, and I guess as sort of, I haven't been paying attention, and I don't know how audiences receive or interact with video clips anymore. So that's a really interesting question for me about what then so because I didn't know the answer to that, I just lent into the song and went, okay, just react to the music and to what Nick and Noms are telling you or it's about, and go from there. But
that's a really interesting point though. Like, Simon, how do you feel about that? Because I mean, you've made video clips before this, or you made our last one, Unlikely Impossible, which was brilliant as well. I'm pressing the wrong buttons. What do you see as the purpose or the idea behind making a music video?
Well, I think there's lots of music clips out there, and so many of them are so bad.
But not ours.
Yeah, but there's real room to make something that's artistic, you know, and to interpret it on another level, and sometimes that's on a commercial or on a spurious kind of interest level, or sometimes it can actually be, you know, a work of art, and that's obviously the most interesting, and that's the one you want to aspire to, and that's, you know, when you guys go to me, you know, do you want to be involved in this? I go, well, yeah, because it's going to be in this kind of context. So, yeah, that's why, you know, and that's why we were able to have such a beautiful little crew, which you guys have around you constantly. Yeah,
we did.
Because I mean, while there's 6 of us here now, there was double that working on this clip as well.
Yeah, which we're so grateful for. And and really, like, everyone was very, you know, keen and gung-ho and working hard and so generous with their time and their space. Like, Phil Ross letting us use the screens, and at the Alex Theatre, and all of those people who were so generous to, like, help us see this sort of vision through to make this music video.
So Phil runs Pro Screens, who do like all of those big LED screens that you see at the Grand Prix or Guns N' Roses or Stereosonic Festival or whatever. And actually Simon was way more detail on this, but had set up in conjunction with the Alex Theatre this amazing studio with these screens, which is what we were sort of using for everything there.
And I think when we used those screens, it was the first time that it had been used outside of them being set up, really, and just the promotional film being made. So that was pretty cool.
So special.
Yeah, that is.
It's actually also on the just on the video front. So Francesca, aside from being our cellist and a member of Danzine Wine, I've also done a lot of solo things, and your stuff is always very video based as well, or sort of certainly has been in the past. But so how do you approach that? Because I mean, you do it quite. It's is it fair to say that the videos for you are part of the live performance first, and are then taken to screen, or no? Do you do it the other way around? Because yours is quite a different approach again.
It's always the music first.
Oh yeah, no, sorry, I realised that, but in terms of, because your live show was always so like multimedia, video and music based, were your videos for that done with watching on a screen, sort of YouTube style in mind, or purely for the live performance?
Purely for the live performance. It's all about the experience. Yeah. And I don't think, we never think of anything we'd do for a live show. We never think of that as being a music video. Like, they're two separate things.
Yeah. But with Swift and Raven, did you put some of them out as videos, or at least one of them?
We put one video out, Cosmic Raven, and so then we used that imagery in the live show. Yeah, right, cool. So if we made more videos, then maybe we would incorporate them in the live show. But I think they're two very different things. Video for a live show and video as a music video. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Two different experiences. And with a live show, I think you have the luxury of being able to do things much more slowly, and for a video to, for the images to evolve a lot more slowly. In a music video, I mean, you could do that for a music video if you wanted to, but in order to hold,
you run the risk of people switching off.
If they're watching it on a whatever, on their phone or on a computer, you want it to probably be a bit more snappy.
And snappy it is.
Well, it's about proportion, isn't it? It's just like a live show, typically 90 minutes, 2 hours, whatever. Yeah. Then you can take longer to evolve. Whereas a clip, we're talking 3.5 minutes. it then needs to be in relation to that length.
Yeah.
And it's interesting though, because Too Late She Cried, you've gone very like, there's not a lot of quick edits in it, which is probably at odds with a lot of videos made in the last few years that are like very like super quick edit. Because I mean, the initial idea we're talking about, as we were saying before, was the one shot, no edit whatsoever, and there's no way we're doing that clip in that way like that.
I don't know, Simon, jump in here. I feel like the edit accelerates. Like I feel like the shots are longer at the beginning and the edit gets quicker. And I think that is about layering the themes and layering, reminding us of what's got like what images that we've set up at the beginning that we may have forgotten about that you're trying to then link back or.
Absolutely, and I think fast editing sometimes is a way of hiding a lack of ideas. And we had the opposite. We had so many ideas.
True.
And there was we had just a little bit of time in pre-production.
Yeah. Lots of contemplation.
Yeah.
We should probably explain the context of that, shouldn't we? Because so when we'd made this clip, so we'd been talking about it probably this time last year or earlier.
It was May.
It was May. There you go.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if anyone remembers, but this thing happened last year, and everyone stayed home for a long time.
We had about 5 Augusts, didn't we? Like August.
Yeah.
And then it was still August.
and whereas most of Australia opened up, Melbourne didn't. We were still we kept going hard until we'd gotten rid of it completely. But of course, in the meantime, that means everything goes on hold. But we had this little window earlier this year where
so lucky with our windows.
So restrictions had lifted mostly, and people would go around. We could get a bunch of people together, but theatre hadn't resumed because Naomi, you've been quite busy when theatre resumes.
Yeah, we went straight back into reboot. So I'm on Harry Potter and the Cursed Child as associate director, and we went on complete hold as we are now.
Hence the Wizards.
That's why I was
laughing at references to Wizards early on because there's a lot of Wizards.
I also need more naps. And so we were just waiting until we could have enough people in the room to reboot that, which I think was mid-January. So as you say, we had a tiny window to sneak in. Too Late She Cried.
Yeah, so we crammed it into 2-day shoot in brutally hot weather from memory.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
We haven't talked about being in the gardens.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, brutally hot weather, except for when the drones were. The drone was just above us, half a metre above us or something.
And it was actually really cold.
Yeah, it was freezing.
It's because it was early in the morning though too. Like it hadn't really warmed up yet.
It was also probably colder for Fran because she was wearing wearing a trip to Lincraft rather than. But even it was so weird. I'm sorry, a lot of people probably have a lot more experience with drones and know what they are, like what they're like. But when they're hovering that far above you, it's really cold. Like there's a lot of air, which makes sense. I mean, it's obvious when you say it, but it never occurred to me.
No, it never occurred to me either.
And that's, I mean, the heat that those screens give off in the studio, that was
quite warm.
That was pretty warm in there.
Yeah, all of that. It's good.
You forgot it was hot.
I had totally forgotten what the weather was. But
yeah.
It's actually quite funny because the garden shots are in Fitzroy Gardens. There's a little, you can go and find the spot yourselves. And what's really cute is that I walk there most mornings, and on a Saturday morning you will often see people setting up weddings, or like back in when we could have weddings. And many times there were people with drones figuring out how to shoot the wedding or the reception or the party in the gardens as they were setting up in the morning. And then, of course, we're doing something that doesn't look dissimilar on a Sunday.
That was my wedding dress, that costume. So
there you go.
Yeah. Did you like that segue, Gnomes? I just sort of like,
put it out there so I can mention it.
Awesome.
Made by the beautiful Kimberly Potts.
Yeah.
But because the first day shoot was in an abandoned factory, and that was quite toasty. Now it was always that thing of trying to find somewhere like between shots to be where you were out of the sun, but not in pigeon crap or whatever other dodgy weird things were hanging around. There's some weird things in that place.
We had a very glamorous dressing room, didn't we, Gnomes?
Oh my God.
Actually, we've got a photo of that.
We do have a lovely photo of our wonderful dressing room. Would you post that today?
No, we're going to.
We'll post it on Instagram
But
later.
the thing is, you can't post the smell. If only you could.
We need Wonka vision.
Oh yes, the smell.
That's so funny. Now that I'd forgotten, actually. I've obviously blocked that out of my mind.
Yeah, that's called repression.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, wow.
But Gnomes, you did a great job of like, you brought everything we needed for that dressing room.
I did.
The big mirror and coat hangers and I don't know, like everything we could have needed.
The plastic to put on the ground so we could stand on it without shoes
Oh, that's
on.
right. It was like drop sheets everywhere, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, there was pigeon shit. There's pigeon shit and probably, urine everywhere.
Yeah, the hand sanitizer was the only time in 2021 it wasn't used for virus.
Yeah.
It was more, well, it was kind of,
virus as well, obviously, but it was useful, wasn't it?
It was.
All right. Well, do you guys have any other questions? Because that's all the questions I had.
Yeah. I'm curious why that song? Like you've got a new, like, there's a whole album sitting there. Why was that the song that you wanted turned into a clip?
Well, there was
good question.
It was the third clip for the album. It's so the first one was Unlikely Impossible, which Simon made as well. Then Pilgrimage, which Naomi made. And it was funny, there was actually a German website recently that had run a story about Too Late She Cried, saying, and the video clip was directed by singer Naomi Edwards. It was like, there's two Naomis, which is why one of them's listed as the other Naomi here. But that's the reason we're going with two. So this,
why do we choose this
it's
one?
funny, Too Late She Cried's probably the closest thing we've come to a pop song in a lot of ways. Like, it doesn't go for 7 minutes. It's not a one-note drone with other stuff on it for 7 minutes. It actually has like
it's structurally a pop song.
Sorry?
Like, it's structurally a pop song.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think it always, possibly for those reasons, it's kind of stood out. And I think, lyrically, it's pretty relevant.
How relevant did it turn out to be? Too late she cried. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and in fact, I think there's been people that have assumed that song was
written for the
written
era,
and released
but it
quite
wasn't.
quickly. But no, it was actually written.
It's funny though, because we started rehearsing for our show at the recital centre, and I'm singing along, going, "Hang on a second."
Like all these other songs,
Yeah, going, these lyrics are really appropriate to today as well. It's like, this is my universal theme. I just didn't ever knew it. Anyway.
But yeah. And I actually really like the song. And it's also
like, this is one that like Francesca was really integral in writing this song as well. And given that she's sort of like a new member to the band, actually, Fran, why don't you talk to us a bit about, do you remember recording this song? Do you remember writing that cello line?
She's on the spot. She's like, no idea.
That's the one.
I don't know what to say about it. It just it was fun. I don't know what else I can say.
Well, but that song, like it was sitting there, and then Fran came in.
Yeah, it's actually one of the songs that you know, there's some songs that you have no idea how or where you're like just going. I don't know. That just came out, and I have no idea. That's one of the few ones that I actually remember, kind of every step along the way and the ideas behind it, and it was
So how does that then feel to have like us like respond to it and pull it apart and like, you know, because in terms of sort of how we approached it, it's just like I assumed that absolutely everything in there was deliberate, which of course it is and it isn't in creativity, but we take it as a given and then create from there. It must be what is that like?
Pretty awesome, actually. But and look, most of that song is very, very deliberate. Like there was and it was one where there's initial kind of sparks of things that were inspired by certain things, that which is probably way too long and boring to go into for everyone. But it got to a point where like this I'm really liking this. There's something in it, but it's I don't know. It's not. It hasn't jumped to that spot where we go yes. And that was actually where Fran came in.
And when Fran put on that cello line, we were like, this is awesome now.
Like I would never. Like we didn't go, Fran. So can you drop tune your cello and play this big chunky sort of riff thing there? Like that wasn't. That was like this needs something. What do you reckon? And seeing where it went.
And that was it.
And it's also, it doesn't, a lot of things, like if we want something to kick in, like often it's big drums that will kick it, but the drums are very minimal. There's not even like a snare thing there. It's just like a kick drum and then the Greek percussion over the top. And then it's that cello line that sort of drives it all. Yeah, and then I think this is in some ways the clip that, or the visual thing in general that we've had the least to do with, in a sense, like in terms of
handing it over to go give us something complimentary to the song. Yeah, totally. I think so too.
And it's strange. I don't know. Maybe it's because.
Well, let's face it. You gave us an idea and we threw it out, but.
No, you blew it up in an explosive way. But look, maybe because I know it's because we've known you both so long and know so much about what you do and love what you do that it wasn't scary or anything. You know what I mean? Like it sounds like it could be hand it over to someone else to come up with something, but it's like, oh yeah, this will be cool.
You would be something amazing. Yeah, totally.
No.
You're the love in the room.
or the rooms.
The rooms.
Yes. It's funny because with the exception of Francesca, who lives in a different state, we all don't live that far apart.
Yeah.
But
10K.
But it may as well be the other side of the planet, yeah.
All right. Last chance for any other questions, comments, suggestions, stories you'd like to tell.
Or does anyone have any is there anyone in internet land with any questions too? We can totally do them. So I'm just doing the one-handed.
Check if there are any questions.
Yeah.
I think they should show up in there, but we will just also
check if there's
I'm
any.
curious what's next for you guys. Like you said, you mentioned the Recital Centre gig.
So we're super excited about that.
Yeah. What else is on the horizon for you guys?
Well, actually, just on that, we should do a quick plug. So Melbourne Recital Centre, we're playing on the 21st of June because everything is going to be fine and everything will be opened up and cellists will be able to fly in from other states and it's all going to be awesome.
Locked out of their state that they live in.
They won't get locked out of their current state and everything will be fine. And look,
and Phil's going to come down from
Ballarat,
Ballarat as well.
Percussionist, frame drummer extraordinaire. So that's an exciting one because I've always wanted to play at the Recital Centre, like ever since it opened. I think.
Beautiful space.
Well, we're in the Primrose Prada Salon, which is just gorgeous.
It's the best sounding room in Melbourne, I think.
Looking forward to it.
And after that, it's another album.
Great.
So, which will be we can say that it'll be a little bit more traditional. Is not quite the right word, but a little more
leaning into.
A little more medieval inspired with some actual traditional elements in, which I guess we've always had, but probably a little bit more down that path, but still very Dan's Unwindy. It's still going to have all the electronics and the ear candy and swirly stuff. And in theory, we're back in Germany September 2022.
Don't have enough things to cross for that to happen.
we need at least 4, another pair of hands each.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your first album's called Astra, your second album is Zeneca.
What was that?
Your next album's Astra, and the album after that is Zeneca.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's these two are proudly brought to you by Pfizer. Yeah, so that's
the hope.
So that's the thing. So
We'll see how the hell goes. So, well, if we're going to do another album, are you guys all up for another film clip, or should we talk about that later? Is now a good time to ask?
We should have just recorded this.
Oh, we have. Oh. Where are you going there, Fran?
Sorry?
Where are you going?
Oh, I'm just plugging my phone in.
I think I said it. You know to switch off if you go to the toilet or something, don't you? Yeah.
I think the first interview that I had with or like meeting that I had with Simon and Naomi, I took it on my break at work at the cafe, and I told my workmates and my boss, they were really lenient with it. I'd said I'm going to take half an hour and just chat if that's okay. They were like, yeah, that's fine. In doing so, I had to move to the courtyard at the back of the cafe where there was no one. But because the cafe has a lot of like my family members, like my grandparents and uncles always are popping in, and there's always someone from the community coming in that's associated with my bloodline. Anyway, so one of my grandma's brothers decided to walk in and say hello. And you have to say hello. He has to kiss you. You have to say hello. If you don't say hello, it's like tragedy. You didn't say hello to me. It's like Jerry's uncle in Seinfeld. It's like that. It's like that. Basically, it's like that. And I remember sitting in the courtyard, and I told him, and he doesn't speak English. I was telling him in Greek, like, look, I'm engaged with my headphones in this meeting. And he just went and sat behind me, and he was just constantly talking to me, and I was trying to concentrate and trying to tell him, like, he was asking me, like, so what, is it busy today? But in Greek, so Naomi and Simon didn't understand what he was saying, but I could hear him, and I was just trying to shrug him off a little bit. He wasn't shrugging off, so I was doing what Fran did then. I was moving my camera. I ended up next to the garbage bins, and I ended up in the side alley. I was just all over the place. I was just squatting.
Like a little dog behind you, just going.
No. I think he got the gist because I think someone else told him, like, leave her alone. But that was the first time I spoke with Naomi and Simon. I was just all over the place.
It was so great.
Very, very funny. And when you finally did hear it, it was an aha moment. It was like, oh, golly, I'm bothering her. She's actually talking to other people. I didn't realize that. Yeah.
No. It didn't Jerry. Did not Jerry. But yeah, that was funny. Oh. But yeah, a lot of our ones were through video initially because, I mean, like you said, the project was so early on in the year, and then I would say 3/4 of the project was just through FaceTime, and then only actually being together to incorporate that in like a physical sense and to dress you guys and to see the props. That was in such a short amount of time. We only had a couple of weeks, I think, before you had set a date because the lockdowns were pushing forward and back, and you didn't have the window. So it was kind of like here's all the planning, and then we just all jumped in together when we could. Yeah.
I actually forgot how. Yeah, right. I forgot that. Yeah.
It was, wasn't it? It was like, quick, let's do it.
Wait. Nothing. Do it really quickly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
You got to do things where you can. at the
That's
moment.
it.
Yeah.
That's it. Seize the day, life is too short. Yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Someone should write a song about that.
Well, on that note, I think we might wrap it up. But thank you so much, Anita, Simon, Fran, and Naomi, and us as well. Thank you for watching. Thanks for coming and chatting with us. We love the clip, and we hope everybody else loves it too. Head over to YouTube if you haven't seen it. And yeah, that's it. Is that it?
That's it.
We're going to hit the big orange
All
end broadcast thing.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
We'll
guys.
see you later.
And I actually should say too, this will be archived too. We're not going to, it's live stream, but it'll stay up there.
Yeah,
for
so you
people to
can
watch.
watch ourselves again later. Okay, and now everyone wave again. Bye.
Bye.